good evening, everybody, to you and yours, and welcome to the Brevard Sports Network. Alan Slaughterzinski with you here tonight as we continue our high school football, spring football recaps. And, listen, having this guy on is always an honor and a pleasure. I always enjoy my conversations with him, as do you. I've gotten several messages after many interviews with our guest tonight, just about his ability to take us back and his football knowledge, and he's always fun to talk to, and he's a great football coach and a great football mind. Please help me welcome tonight to recap the Holy Trinity Tigers spring football practice session, their football head coach, Hurlie Brown. Coach, how you doing tonight, my friend?
Going great, Alan. Thank you.
Yeah, Coach, it's a pleasure to have you. And, let's start here, Coach. Day one of football practice for you. What is your first? I mean, we had discussed a little bit earlier, but you got some key positions you got to replace. Take me through day one of football practice.
Well, you walk out on the field, Alan, and you see progress. You look back to when I first took the job 4 years ago, and Alan, we had 12 kids.
Did you say 12?
Yeah, we had 12 kids. Actually, 12 and a half. One was on the fence, but we had 12 kids, four coaches. We ended up winning the district that very first year. But, the one thing that's impressive is the progress that we've made, man. So now we got almost 50 kids, and I got a full coaching staff. As a matter of fact, and I want to mention this because I feel like I have to, but Nefi Moffitt just joined our staff.
That's a pretty
So
good
now,
get, Coach.
that's a pretty darn good get. Yeah, it's just a
Yeah.
great get, not just a pretty good get. It's a great get.
Yeah.
So now we have all three. We have the big three schools of the state of Florida covered. University of Miami.
I knew this was coming. I knew this was coming. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, buddy, it's coming, baby. It's coming. Yes, sir. So we're representing all three schools in the state of Florida. With
Who's the Gator, Coach? I'm sorry.
Marcus May.
That's right. Okay. I forget he's on staff. I totally forget that
Yeah.
that he's on
Yeah.
staff there. So
Yeah.
you got
Well,
you.
he's on staff, but he's still in the process of playing.
Okay.
So when he's not playing or he hasn't signed, or even if, hey man, whenever he comes back, he's a part of the Holy Trinity football staff.
And
Just put it.
you got the UF, and FSU
Yes, sir.
all on staff.
All on one staff. Yes, sir.
Well, Coach, that's quality. If ever
Yes.
there was top notch quality there. All right, Coach. Let's talk about the plan in place, the blueprint in place. Well, I think one of the most underrated quarterbacks in Brevard County the last 2 years has been Rico Brutrago. I love the kid. I love his demeanor. Great kid off the field, Coach. And I think what I was impressed with his play on the field. I mean, he threw for over 2,000 yards last year.
Yeah.
Excellent athlete. He was a good basketball player too. Baseball, I think he played. Um,
I
how
don't
do
know.
huh?
I don't know about the basketball part, but yeah.
Coach, tell
He's-
me, tell me how you're gonna replace him.
Oh man, it's going to be tough, and I'll be honest with you, it's going to be pretty tough to replace him, and not just because of his ability to throw the ball, but Rico's a football juggernaut. He's a film guy, and I'm going to miss him. You know, I guess more personally than I am as a football player. Rico was,
I know what you mean.
you know what I mean. He was just
Yeah.
one of those man. He's just one of those guys who was always around. He wanted to know football. He wants to coach. He actually coached. We won our middle school flag football team, won the championship this year. Alan, you should have seen those kids play. They were absolutely phenomenal. I'm talking just ridiculous. We won. We went 9 games and we won by a minimum of 21 points in every game.
Wow.
A minimum.
When do you play middle school football?
We play middle school flag football.
Oh,
Rico,
flag
offensive,
football.
our middle school flag football team. That's the type of kid he is.
Here
He
with
called
Hurlie.
the plays for JV. He called the plays for the middle school.
I
He
remember
just,
seeing that picture with him in it.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's going to be tough to replace him. And it's, there's a bunch of guys, Jaden McMillan, who I've been
Well, I was
around.
going to ask you about Jaden, Coach, because Jaden's left a little, a bit of a legacy there at Holy Trinity.
Oh yeah,
He tried the whole transfer thing for a few weeks. That didn't work out. He realized his home was Holy Trinity, and
yes.
so he comes back to Holy Trinity. And I loved how you handled that situation. By the way, I thought it was. Listen, you don't say anything at the time, but I'm going to tell you this now. Looking back on that entire situation, just done with class, and you know what? It paid off in the end. But what did Jaden mean to this program over the last 4 years, 5 years?
Oh my God, Jaden meant he's another one that you're gonna miss, and it's more than football. Just the way he carried himself, his work ethic, his passion, and then just his professionalism. You know what I mean? He's just one of those guys. He's a 4.1, 4 point, maybe 4.1, 4.123 GPA with a high test score. I mean, he's just one of those guys, man. He just shows up every day. And
I want to ask you about another guy because I really felt like last year we really just got to watch him get going, and that was Kriston Gibson.
and Kriston is one of those guys that just you watch him play, and you just felt like there was so much more to give. And I'm disappointed in myself because at the end of the season, Alan, he made a play against the Masters Academy. And I go back to this play, I think about Kriston. It's actually the first play of his highlight. And it was like somebody had shot him out of a cannon. I mean, he went from the middle of the field all the way to the sideline. When I'm talking about, when people describe or they make the comment of sideline to sideline, that's what it was. And you saw it. And you sit back and you're like, dude, you've had this in you this whole time?
Mm.
You've had this in you this whole time. So
Yeah.
to play like that for 4 years, even if you just play like that for this season, because he ended up running track this past season, last year,
Right.
and it got faster, but we didn't see the speed that he truly had until that one. And like, where did that come from? Oh, I was mad.
That's why I said. That's why I said it like I said it, where I just felt like we got to see him get going, and I wish Kriston all the best. I hope he does very well moving forward. And like you said, sometimes you go back and you look and you say, "Man, I wish I'd have seen that a little bit earlier." So you still got some studs, Coach, and I look at Oliver as miles a day, who, I talked to Oliver a little bit last year, got to know him a little bit last year. Players like that, like the Hayden Argos of the world. So you got some guys that are coming back. Talk to me about some of the guys, some of the leaders coming back to this football team.
Boy, Oliver's one of the hardest working kids I got on the team. Oliver's one of the guys. He's a football guy. He loves the game. He studies the game. Oliver will come, and one of my requirements is I ask the kids to give me a scouting report, every Friday. Of Oliver will come in with 2 sheets of paper and give me a full scouting report of what he feels he's going to see, the guy that he's going against, what the offense is doing. And I'm talking about the guy he's just one of those guys. He loves the game. He loves the success that he has with the hard work that he puts in. And he just goes out and plays. He was actually the defensive player of the year for the Sunshine State Athletic Conference this past season. But and again, it's I mean, it's well deserved. It's not like they just gave it away. I
Yeah.
mean, this plays his butt off, and he's the most consistent guy that I got. And he's just a great joy to be around. He's a great joy to be able to sit and talk to every day because he loves the game, wants to know the game, he studies it. And those are the types of kids that you want. You got Drew Zabinski. Drew Zabinski's been playing for me since I got here.
Yeah.
Drew, honest with you, Drew's one of those guys where you sit back and you look at him, you're like, maybe not. Okay, you can play running back. All right, cool, gotcha. Let's play running back. But then he plays corner, and you're sitting back and you challenge him. And you're like, Drew, I don't know if you can play this position. Next thing you know, he's a defensive back of the doggone season of the year. The kids vote for him. I don't vote for him. They vote for him. They see what he does. He goes out and he's just a guy, that just works he was in there today he must have done 1,000 push-ups today after his workout. And I'm just sitting there looking at the kids like, dude, you are so impressive, because when you challenge a kid like that, he stands up to the challenge.
Yeah.
You got Amari Savage, and Amari is, really starting to come into his own. The one, it's a couple. Hayden Argo. Oh my God, man! I'm just sitting there looking, and it's like, dude, when you ask for something as a coach, and you're sitting there, you're talking to the football gods, and you're saying, "Give me a kid who's humble, but he's hungry."
Right.
Listen, that's Hayden Argo. He doesn't look. But when you put him out there on the football field, he's just making play after play after play. But then when you go out there on a Saturday afternoon when nobody else is around, you see Hayden Argo out there training, working out by himself. And I just sit back and say, man, I love you, Hayden. And that's just those are the types of kids that we have. Zach Coran came to us last year, and this was his first year playing football. But Zach is another one who just worked his butt off, who just loves to learn the game. He hadn't played football, but guys like that are the guys that you sit back and you love. Xavier Faison. I can't wait until until the light comes on with Xavier Faison. Xavier Faison was 6'3", 380 pounds 2 years ago. Last year, as a matter of fact, we got him down. He's 6'3", 240, 235ish, and he's continuing.
Wow. Really?
Oh yeah. You should see him. And I'm telling you, it's and don't get me wrong. I mean, he's still not quite where we need him to be, where he needs to. But man, you're talking 40, 50 pounds.
That's a commitment for a young man. That's a commitment for any man.
Oh yeah. And so you got him to where now he's starting to really understand that, hey, these are some of the things that I'm going to have to do in order for me to be able to be consistent. Because he'll show it in spurts. He'll show one play, but then 2-3 plays later you don't see anything out of him. But we got to get him to where he's consistently being explosive. And when I talk about power, he's like a little Mack truck. But he's just got to be consistent.
Yeah.
We got.
Now let me ask you, and I don't keep up with these kids moving from school to school, so I don't know. Aaron Rain's back with you this year?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aaron,
yeah.
Aaron, he's a great kid.
A great kid. He's one of those kids, man, that just really hasn't clicked with him yet of how good he can really be.
Yeah, that's Coach, he's so talented, man.
Oh yeah. He's talented. I mean, and even last year, so you sit there and you watch him. So you watch him run, and you're just like, okay, yeah, maybe he's not that fast. But then when you put on the tape and you watch him run against other teams, he's pulling away from legs are moving real fast. He doesn't have the turnover, but he's so explosive. He's covering so much ground as he's running that it doesn't look like it's just effortless with him. And you just sit back and like, you've got to be. And then he's got baseball glove mitts for hands. I mean, he snatches the ball. I mean, he's just one of those kids that, when I'm not going to say if, when it clicks with Aaron Raines that I can do this, and I can do this very well. It's going to be lights out. Yeah, I'm just telling you, it's going to be lights out. He'll be one of the highest recruited kids in the county.
And you know what? I'm with you on that because I remember the start he had to last year. And then Jaden. Listen, Jaden is Jaden. So
Yeah.
once Jaden got back and became Jaden, um, Aaron. But the start that Aaron had to that season last year
Oh,
showed
yeah.
you a glimpse of the player he is, and it was absolutely impressive to watch. Here with Hurlie Brown, Coach. Okay, so I asked you about day one and what you saw, but when you wrapped up, and we'll get to the whole spring game thing in a minute. When you wrapped up on the final day after your scrimmage, this, that, and the other, what were your takeaways about what you didn't know or learned about your team?
Well, the one thing that I've always known about this team at Holy Trinity is that we're extremely smart. So the kids they pick up on stuff very easily, and they're able to take the stuff from the classroom and transfer out there on the football field. And that's the one thing that we've always been able to do. And I think it's more so now because of the number of kids that we do have.
Right.
But when I talk about a work ethic, and that's who I am, Alan. I'm one of those guys who, I was, I cut my teeth in this game through our work ethic, and that's just I wasn't the most talented guy, I wasn't the biggest, I wasn't the strongest, I wasn't the fastest, but I worked extremely hard, and I was taught that by Jerry Odom, guys like that. When I got to college, Michael Irvin and those guys got to the pros. It was Art Monk, Darrell Green, Jerry Rice, and that's just how I was able to have success in this game. Now it's starting to filter down to these kids to where they're now, and we had open gym today, and man, I might have had 15, 18 kids out there today. And it's open gym. You just started the summer. And it's like, and so when I pull up, it's like, wow, I'm excited. And then God just kept coming throughout the day. And it's like, this is what I've been this is the culture that we've been trying to create ever since I got back to Brevard County at Holy Trinity. We're trying to create that culture that you don't have to be the biggest, fastest, and strongest. And the old saying goes, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And that's who we are.
Right.
We those, the 4.3 guys or the top 300 in the doggone country and all. We don't have to type the kids. But what they're going to do is they're going to work themselves into that position to where people start to see that, hey, wait a minute, hold on. This guy, we didn't see him, but look at the progress that he's made. Look at the success that he's having. And it's going to all be because of their work ethic. That's
You,
what we
I see, I remember you, at Merritt Island as the head coach at Merritt Island, when you took the job there and the terrific job you did there taking that team to the state championship game. But you really seem to be content, relaxed, settled at Holy Trinity. What are you entering your fourth season there? Fifth season?
This is my fifth season.
Fifth season at Holy Trinity now. What is it about? And it's not like this that this football program doesn't come with challenges because every year it comes with the challenges of numbers. Um, all of your athletes are multi-sport athletes, Coach, and which I know you love. So it doesn't come without its challenges. What is it about Holy Trinity, Coach, that has, when I see you, that has you looking relaxed, settled, comfortable?
It's the people, Alan. And don't get me wrong. I'm never going to say anything bad about Merritt Island. Merritt
No,
Island is
I know.
all right. Merritt Island gave me an opportunity when no one else would, and that's where my heart still lies. Okay, but when you start talking about a place like Holy Trinity, that they put the people first, and that's what it's all about. So I have an obligation to the people of Holy Trinity, the Ray Herrings, the Scott Alpazars, the Matt Williamses of the world, the Vicky Hurst. They came in. Marcus May. Those kids came into Holy Trinity, and they wanted to create a legacy, and it's my responsibility as a coach to help, you know, to help them, follow through with what they came in to teach, or what they tried to do. I mean, Vicky Hurst is with the, you know, women's pro golfer. She's a WLP, and you know, she doesn't get the credit that she deserves. And then you look at guys like Marcus Bailey. Marcus Bailey and I grew up together. Marcus is my track coach. Okay, Marcus has won back-to-back state titles.
Marcus Bailey, yes, sir.
Marcus, and so then you look at our soccer team. So we've had with Coach Moreno and our kids that play soccer. And so when you sit back and you look at the love and the commitment from the people of Holy Trinity, dude, it's second to none. I tell the story all the time. Right after school, they got Bojangles over there now, so I'll go over there and get me a little Bojangles, which
Coach.
But man, I get me some Bojangles, and I'm driving back through the campus. And one day, Alan, I'm sitting there because our soccer team was still playing because they were deep in the playoffs, getting ready to go to state. You got soccer, okay? You got boys and girls lacrosse, all right? You got softball, baseball, and that night, and you got track. So our track team, as I'm driving through campus, all of this is going on. All of these kids are practicing, getting ready for their games. And I'm just sitting back. We only got 400 kids.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so when you about those numbers, and you're talking maybe 75, 80% of your entire student population are involved in one sport or another. And that's not to mention the kids that are swimming. That's not to mention the kids that are playing golf.
Right.
Because you don't see them out there every day.
No.
But I'm sitting and I'm watching all of these kids out there competing and preparing to go to battle. And I'm just like, man, it is so refreshing to see the commitment that these kids have made to their sport. And it's just a great position to be in. It's a great school. The administration does an amazing job. Even our head of school, John Kellum, who this is interim guy, but man, just the commitment that everybody has made to these kids, it's phenomenal. And the parents are they're just, I don't know if there's a better group of parents in the county than what we have at Holy Trinity. The way that they support athletics, football, and stuff. They out there with them. They come out there and they watch them practice, and they watch, our game, our spring game, Alan. We were just in a squad scrimmage. Started at 6 o'clock. All right. And again, you orchestrate it to where you can get out of there about 7:45, 8 o'clock-ish. Alan, I'm walking off the field right around 9. As a matter of fact, Bubba McDowell was there, his brother Alan, who are like my brothers. They were at the game, so we stayed after the game. And they kind of, debriefed me on what they saw. So we were out on the field until about 9 o'clock. Alan, I'm walking the field, and there's still families and parents still waiting and talking and congregating and talking about what they just saw. Dude, we've been done for almost an hour. Why are you still here? Oh,
right.
We had time. We had, we just wanted to thank you for everything. And it's just a great place to be, man. It's a great environment. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my AD, Coach Phillips.
James is a good man.
James. And then you got Coach Goldfarb.
Yeah. Coach Kelsey.
We had 452 events and either home or away that James and his associate ADs and all those guys were responsible for putting on. And that's a hell of a task.
Yes, it is.
So, we're still talking 2 state titles. And then, with middle school football, we won, our championship, but the girls went to the state championship game, Final Four, and it's just the girls basketball team. I mean, it's just been an amazing season, but it's all, a testament of the school and the support that it has. So it's just a great place to be, man.
Coach, when you look at Holy Trinity and you look at, you know, I was doing this. I was thinking about this past school year, and I thought, where were the state champions at this year? Well, we started in cross country, right? We had Evan Spreitzer. Evan's
Yep.
unbelievable. We had lacrosse, or not lacrosse, soccer win the state championship. Your lacrosse team is dominant every year. You win back-to-back state championships in track and field. It's just you just keep kicking out state champs, coach. It's a great school, great athletes, great foundation for these kids, and I love coming to Holy Trinity. I really do. I have a great relationship with James Phillips. And of course your basketball program. Look at your girls' basketball program went to the finals, and Steve Henderson, and what I mean from top to bottom,
Yeah.
the entire program at Holy Trinity. I'll use the word arguably, but it's arguably the best in the entire county of Brevard, no question about it. And I can see why great coaches who have been around this sport for so long would want to coach and be a part of that. So let me ask you this: as you spent the first year last year in the Sunshine State. Um, Looking back, how would you assess your first year there?
I enjoyed it. We were very competitive. And, and again, it's nothing. I'm not taking away anything from the FHSAA.
Right.
Okay. But we were in a position to, if we don't lose a couple of, we lost. When you're at Holy Trinity and you lose 2 or 3 kids, that's like losing 6 or 8 kids.
Correct.
That they play so many different positions. And right there at the very end, Alan, a couple of kids got sick. I mean, that week we were trying to figure out whether or not we were going to be able to go out and compete. Period, because the guys got sick, guys were hurt. Vinsky, his wrist was hurting. Jaden was at about 75%. And Dustin Strong, my defensive end, he was sick all week. He had a 102-degree temperature all week long. Nathan Reed was sick. So there's a lot of kids that were sick throughout that week that we didn't get back until Friday. And
Right.
some get back, period. But we were still in the game. We had a chance to win that game. And, with a couple of mistakes here and there, if we don't make those mistakes, we win that game. And then the following week, we get everybody back. Drew Spence's back because his wrist is better. Jaden's, now instead of 75%, he's maybe 85%. Dustin Strom is back. Now he's practicing all week. We get guys back, and, hey, man, I hate to cry over spilled milk, but we go deep into the playoffs. We go deep. You look at what we were capable of doing during the season, and then the teams that actually won those following weeks. I think we had a chance. We would have had a chance to go to the Final Four. I think.
Yeah. Listen. I thought you gave those guys everything that you had there, Coach. No doubt about that. I'm looking for your schedule is on the screen right now. You can't see it. I can't see it, but it's there. Everybody else can see it. So I'm going to have to pull it up here on the phone. So let's take a look at it real quick here. And because I like the fact that you're opening with, is that MCC game? The Is that the kickoff classic, or is that a real game?
That's a kickoff classic. That's
Okay,
first.
so I'm just glad to see MCC back on the schedule again, Coach. Um, 6 home games, that's impressive. You'll play home to MCC, Bayside, gave Titusville fits last year, and St. Lucie, which is senior night. You'll hit the road for 3 straight at Somerset Academy, at St. John Paul, at John Carroll. You'll come home against Masters Academy in Fort Pierce, and you'll play at Space Coast. That'll be a lot of fun. Jake's got a pretty good team up there year in and year out the last couple of years. So that'll
Oh,
be a lot of fun. Coach, I think you're going to be right back in the mix this year.
yeah, we're independent this year. Okay, and they're working on some things to have an independent playoff system. So
You
we're
mean your FHSAA independent or SS?
independent. They gave us, so they kind of give you an ultimatum, right? And I'm just not a selfish person. So they told us, I think the rule was what the ruling was, if you can't, football cannot be an independent entity and then all your other sports be FHSAA. So when that came up, it was something to that effect. It may not be
Right,
exact,
right. No, I think you're
but
right. Go ahead.
yeah. But when that came up, it was like, hey, do we want to, challenge the FHSAA and screw all of the rest of our teams?
No.
And no, and that's just not who I am. I'm a team player.
Well,
So
if the FHSAA does their job, and I'll say it, if they do their job and come through with what they're supposed to do for the independent programs in terms of a playoff system, the structuring, and how it's supposed to be done, that'll be very good for Holy Trinity, Coach.
it'll be great for us. It'll be great, not just us, but for a bunch of other schools
Yeah,
that yeah,
absolutely.
it will be great. I think Craig Damon does a good job. I really do. I know Craig. I've known Craig from my time recruiting high schools. Craig was a head coach, and I used to go to his high school and recruit. And I didn't really realize it was him, to be honest with you.
Craig's a wild man. I like Craig.
Yeah, Craig's a great guy. So we went over there to go visit for actually the independent meeting, and I got a chance. So I'm sitting there looking at the guy. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, I know this guy. And I'll be darned, he comes over. He's like, hey, yeah, man, you remember me? And we talked for a little bit. I was like, man, I did not know that was you as the head of the FHSAA. So we laughed and joked about it a little bit. But and not even knowing him, knowing that was him, I've always felt that guy sitting in that seat has a lot of pressure, but I thought he did a pretty good job. So I give kudos to Craig and his staff and those guys over there. I
So
know
you
everybody.
see, listen, they got a tough job. So you got open gyms coming up. You're gonna play some 7-on-7 this summer.
Yeah, I always try to go to the UCF camp. We hadn't done it in a while, but I like this. I think that's a pretty good camp for us. It's close enough to where we can get back and have our kids go up and compete. So we'll try to go to that one. We're going to take a bunch of kids down to I got to go to the Legends camp down in Miami.
Of course.
Yeah. So then
I'd be disappointed if you didn't there, Coach. Let me ask you, Coach, a ruling came out earlier today. I don't know if you had a chance to check our Facebook page out yet, but two senators, Ted Cruz and who was the other one? A senator from Washington, introduced the act into Congress called Protect the College Sports Act. Now, this bill that Congress is trying to pass will basically put a salary cap on student athletes at the collegiate level. It'll limit athletes to one penalty-free transfer during their college careers. It limits athletic eligibility to 5 seasons. They already nicknamed this thing the Lane Kiffin rule, meaning you can't poach coaches during the middle of the season. It will prevent conferences like the SEC and the Big Ten doing what they want to do, which is expand, grow, and make one big power conference. What do you think about this bill, Coach? What would you like to see? Would you like to see something like this passed for college athletics? I know how close to the game you still are.
you got so many mixed feelings about stuff like that. You can sit here and you can argue the fact that, hey, kids need to be paid and, they need to have some type of revenue sharing income and stuff like that. But you also sit back and you look at the fact that if there's no regulation to it, it gets out of hand. And I got a friend of mine. I'm not going to say his name because I need to protect him. But he talked about the fact that where he's at right now, they drafted a kid in I think the 5th round. And when they gave the kid his signing bonus, the kid broke down. And they were like, well, what's wrong? It's like, I'm not going to be able to pay my mother's mortgage with this. The kid was making more money in college than what he's making in the National Football League.
That's
So,
crazy.
oh, it is because you got. I mean, and we had to wait. So when you were, and this is kind of where I get kind of conflicted, right? When we were coming out of high school, or even going into high school, you, in order for you to get to the money, you had to keep your nose clean, stay out of trouble, work your butt off, and play your butt off. And then by the time you're 22, 23 years old, there's a chance that you can make some significant money. So, but you held that over our heads. You held us to that standard. You're like, hey, look, in order for you to get to the promised land, we need you to stay clean, stay
Yeah.
out of trouble. All right. Do everything that you've been asked to do. Treat people how you want to be treated. And there's a reward at the end of it. But now that reward is being given to some people, when you're 10th, 11th grade.
Coach,
And
when college football programs are dispersing $40 million to their rosters, I think the cap is 20.3, and with booster funding and NIL and all that, it can be upwards of $40 to $50 million. What is the incentive for a student if he can transfer 2-3 times, play 6 years of college football? In some cases, we've seen 6.5, right, 7. What's the incentive if you're making more, like you just said, in college than you ever will on your first contract in the NFL? There's no incentive.
yeah, but like I said, that's where I'm conflicted, right? Because you go to college and you play your butt off, you do everything the right way. There's no guarantees at the end.
No.
And when you're done, now you're just thrown out there to the wolves.
Yep.
You don't make it. So the way that it's set up now is, hey, look, I can do all of those things and I can go make a little money. So when I'm done with college, I got that head start in life. And that's why I'm saying I'm conflicted, because I can see both sides of it.
And no, I can too. And somebody raised a very valid point on this. Somebody asked, they call it the College Protection Act, but who in the hell are they actually protecting? You
Exactly.
know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. And I think even over more, you look a little deeper, coach, and you're gonna see, and remember I said one penalty-free transfer
Yeah.
with no more than 5 years of eligibility. It'd be interesting to see how that plays out, and see if some kid says, well, the juice is worth the squeeze on the penalty if I can play an extra year making that money. I mean, we're going to see. This is all very fascinating, but it's
Yeah.
all, to me, it's, do I think these kids should be paid? I absolutely think what these kids should be paid. When you look at what these chancellors, these presidents, these coaches, all of these universities are racking in because of these kids. Did I think they should be paid? Yeah. Did I foresee this
No.
being what would be the end result? Hell no, coach. I had no idea this is where we were going to end up. So
So
I'm with you. I want to see it, but I want this regulated. I do not
yeah.
want to see college sports become, I don't want to see women's sports hurt. I don't want to see Olympic sports hurt. Okay. I want to see these kids get their fair due while they're in college. But like you said, I still want the end result and the ultimate prize to be when they hear their name called in whatever professional sport they're being drafted into.
Yeah. But again, so you want you go to college to put yourself in a position to where you can have a decent life after college.
Sure.
So if I go to college and I'm making some money, okay, and I'm done with college, I don't go play professional football. There are no guarantees. So
No.
you told me when I was being recruited, hey, look, you come to this school, you get a degree, you'll be set for the rest of your life. It
Right.
doesn't. All right. And if you don't have a meaningful degree, it really doesn't work that way. So now you go to college, you make a little money, you get your degree, because that's one of the things that I think that they should, that's what they should regulate, and make sure that you do get your degree. Or it's just like with the NFL. The NFL, if you leave early and go to the NFL, they'll pay for you to go back to get your degree. But make sure that the kids at some point get their degrees, but you still want a little bit of cushion. You still want
Right.
to be in college and say, okay, hey, look, you know what? I don't have to take this particular job at this place just so I can put food on the table. I
Right.
got 50,000, I got $100,000 put up somewhere. I can go put a nice down payment on a home. I can go take my time and find the right job for me. And then I have that head start in life, because that's what you're going to college for.
Yeah, I remember the good old days where the argument was, let's give these student athletes enough money to go out and see a movie and buy their date a drink, or some popcorn and a drink at the movies. And now it is, the gentleman couldn't, his player couldn't pay his mom's mortgage. That's a huge jump in a really short period of time, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
But it's stuff
So
that we're, and like I said, one side of me is I'm extremely excited that it happened, because now, yeah, and again, it puts a lot of money in the circulation too. Now, let's don't get it twisted. Now,
no.
yeah. So when you start talking about the Malachi Tonys of the world, or the Carson Becks, who went out and bought what was it, a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, or something like that, man, you're talking a $200,000-$300,000 car,
Right.
and renting a home in Coral Gables. So there's a lot of money in circulation going on. And then you got there's just so many different things that these kids go out and purchase.
No,
So
I agree. I agree. And listen, I mean, for what they bring in for these universities, you and I both know the money. But I think, guys like you, of course, I know I knew, a lot of people we know are connected to knew that once you opened up the floodgates to money, there were going to be some things we saw that we didn't know what they were going to be, but we knew we were going to see some things.
oh
So
yeah,
it'll be interesting how it turns out. Coach, I want to leave you with this. I'm curious to get your take, because I actually got two Miami things on my desk here. I got that helmet you see there in the front, and there is my 52 Ray Lou Miami figurine. So I want you to know there are
great.
two Miami things on my desk here. How excited were you last year, Coach, to see the U back playing for a national championship again? And you look and you see the number of players they had drafted in the NFL. Um, the joke, and I hate to say this, but the joke has been for the last 10, 12, 15 years, the U says 5 games into the season they're back, and then they end up losing, and they're not back. But they were back last year, Coach. How'd that make
Yeah,
you feel?
it made me feel great. Yeah, I mean, it was exciting to watch the entire season. I sat here for those playoff games. I got one little spot on my couch that I sat in that same spot the entire game for every game that I watched, and just to be able to watch them perform, and to see my old teammate go out there and create a culture that it wasn't about just the talk. It wasn't about the turnover chain. It wasn't about that type of stuff. It was about being consistent, being fast, physical, and playing the game that the way that it's supposed to be played. So those are the things that you love to watch. It was exciting. It was very exciting for me to watch it. And Alan, when we were coming through school, one of the things that we took pride in was we were the people. A lot of people out there across the world really identified with us, because we were just that blue collar worker.
Right.
Yeah, private school and all that, but not the football team was an affluent team. We weren't. We were just a bunch of young, hungry kids who were given an opportunity to go out and show how hard they worked and could perform. And that's what we were. And we loved each other. We still love each other. We talk to each other all the time. And just the love that we had, because we wanted everybody to be on our teams to be successful.
You,
So came in, it was one of those things where those older guys embraced me and taught me how to be a Miami Hurricane. and it was the greatest thing that you could ever be around. And now that stuff is starting to filter back because of because of Mario Cristobal. Mario's a part of that back in 1988 and 89. Mario knows and understands. Mario's brother Lou Cristobal played for them, in the heydays back in 1986, 87, before Mario was even, before he even started playing football, really.
Right.
So he knows the culture, the Roland Smiths, the Mike Rumps, the Anthony Hamlets, those guys that came through the program. They know, even when Alonzo Highsmith was down there, those guys know that it wasn't about all the glitz and glamour. It was about the people. Very similar to what we have at Holy Trinity right now. It was about the people, from the doggone janitors all the way to the president and everybody in between. Those were the most important people on our campus. And we treated everybody that way. And Jimmy demanded it. And then it just filtered down to Coach Erickson. Because Jimmy was one of those guys, you're going to treat everybody the way that you want to be treated. You're not going to disrespect anybody, but we're going to work our butts off. And that's how he recruited. He recruited those types of guys.
And I love the fact that, Jimmy demanded that of you, because that's what Jimmy demanded when the controversy set in with the media. He said, my guys do what they do, but they're not disrespecting. This is us. This is who we are. I loved how Jimmy went to bat for you guys and how he stood up, because Jimmy doesn't do that if you guys aren't holding up your end of the bargain, Coach.
No, but Jimmy let you know from the beginning. I'm going to the story that he would give you is, I want you, when you have to make a decision, is it good for your family? Is it good for you? Is it good for this team? And if you decide to go against what we're teaching and the culture that we've created, you're gonna have to answer. I'm gonna back you 100%. I don't care what it is that you decide to do. I'm going to back you 100%. But then you're gonna have to deal with me.
Yep.
And you would rather slap the devil than to have to deal with Jimmy Johnson when he
I can imagine. Coach, I look back on that Miami run last year, and to think that when the college football selection committee made their picks, the Canes were the last team in, and everybody screamed for Notre Dame. It shouldn't have been Miami. It should have been Notre Dame, despite the fact that you had all beat them. I mean, what a wonderful run it was. Coach, I tell you, I can count on two things when I talk to you. I can count on the fact that you and I will do the longest interview. And the second thing that I can count on, and the reason we do the longest interview, is because we have the best conversation. I appreciate your time, and always appreciate you, Coach, through the years. Thanks for everything you do, and I'm looking forward to seeing your team coming up at fall camp.
Hey, I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to be a part of your show. And please give Caleb my prayers. We've been praying for him, and wish nothing but the best for him and you. And thank you for Brevard County.
Appreciate you, Coach. That's Hurlie Brown of the Holy Trinity Tigers. And stay tuned. Coming up tomorrow night, we'll have another coach right here on the Brevard Sports Network. For Hurlie Brown, I'm Alan Slaughterzinski for the Brevard Sports Network.